Firstly, Councillor, I'd like to support Deputy Cahill's call for opening allotments in urban areas. These fulfil an essential these are essential function in terms of food production, but also allotments provide an outlet for urban dwellers to carry out physical exercise and in a safe and socially distant way, while also allowing positive interaction with their communities. Minister, the COVID-19 health crisis and the associated financial crisis have focused the minds of many worldwide on the importance of food security and the agri-food sector, which employs 173,000 people in this country. The United Nations has warned that while parts of the world are on the brink of a hunger pandemic, some countries are dumping milk due to breakdown of supply lines. Meanwhile, Irish farmers are suffering significant financial losses, especially in the beef and dairy sectors. The COVID-19 crisis is affecting the agriculture sector, and we must make sure we provide support to farmers. Farmers are not just producers of food, they have a vital role to play as environmental stewards in areas such as water quality, biodiversity, climate mitigation and adaptation. Without the cooperation of farmers, Ireland cannot reach its targets of cutting emissions in line with the Paris Agreement. We need to engage with farmers and other stakeholders to review and analyse the full range of land diversification options, from horticultural production, protein crop production and organic farming to afforestation and agroforestry. Most of all, we must be guided by science. The science says we must reduce emissions to keep our planet from warming dangerously. We must make sure that we listen to scientific advice to make sure every sector plays its part while ensuring no sector is targeted unfairly. Minister, to this end, I would like to ask, are you aware that research by Teagasc has shown that multi-species grass swards can reduce artificial fertiliser use by 50%, increase the soil's ability to resist leaching and increase biodiversity? I would like to ask you whether you will commit your department to funding further research with a view to promoting widespread movement away from perennial ryegrass swards and an associated reduction in the use of imported artificial fertiliser in order to help reduce the price of inputs for farmers as they face significant challenges as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. Finally, Minister, I would like to ask you about gorse fires. I have a concern about the pressure being placed on emergency services during the COVID crisis, and I have a concern with my colleague Deputy Stephen Matthews about recent gorse fires in Kildare and Wicklow. Does the Minister feel that his department is working closely enough with hill farmers in areas at risk of out-of-control gorse fires, and is there anything further that can be done to work in a cooperative manner with farmers to ensure good land management in hill areas at risk of gorse fires?
Thank you very much, Deputy. On the latter point, the Department is consistently advising farmers regarding the rules and regulations and timelines regarding when burning of uplands is permitted and not permitted, and also bringing to their attention the fact that those in breach of those regulations run the risk of disqualifying themselves from their entitlement to payments from the Department. And obviously there's also a Commission interest in these matters. So I concur with you that out-of-season burning is entirely unacceptable, and we have been adamant in that respect. And indeed, people like the Wicklow Uplands Council, for example, have been quite proactive in terms of working with farmers, finding ways of managing uplands that does not involve breach of the regulations. I was interested in your reference to the Paris Agreement, and obviously we are signed up to our targets at a European Union level. But it is important to remind ourselves occasionally that the Paris Accord does talk about meeting those targets without compromising sustainable food production. And I think that brings us to the point that you know, by any global comparison, our food industry, notwithstanding the fact that it can do a lot more, is by global standards carbon efficient. And you know, certainly in the area of the research you referred to by Teagasc, and Teagasc has an independent budget for research that's quite innovative in terms of what it has achieved for the industry. We are implementing, in terms of our ambition for the sector, the Teagasc research in the area of climate, what's referred to by many as the Teagasc MAC curve. and that's enabling us in particular to tackle the nutrient management issues around application of chemical fertilisers and the appropriate management of organic
Right, Minister, thank you. The time is up.
So I think that is the way forward in terms of science and innovation and research.